Alrighty, so we're on part 2 of our checklist of your estate planning. See if you actually do have an estate plan or if you just have documents that aren't really going to help the people that you love be there for your family. Okay, so last episode we discussed the kids, right? Your children. Are there actual, really true things in place that are going to make for a plan for taking care of your kids? Now we're going to talk about will provisions, right? Does your will actually do what it's supposed to do? Okay, first of all, does your will waive the bond, right? Because here the reality is that if you pass away without a will, the judge is going to require anyone who wants to administer your estate to post a bond. Yeah. Why? Because they want to make sure that the fiduciary, right, the person who's going to be placed in charge, is actually going to do what they're supposed to do and take care of those assets for the benefit of anyone who's an heir. Same thing goes for a will, right? So does your will have a bond exclusion, meaning not making them pay that money? Because guess what? If you don't have excellent credit, you're not going to get that bond. Okay, number 2. Establish trust. Does your will establish a trust so that your kids do have some sort of protection so that they're not given it outright before they're adults, right? Is there something in there that says if my children are minors, there's going to be a trust here to take care of the money so that they don't get it while they're children and it's actually then given to their legal guardians or custodians, right? Forcing very expensive proceedings in court. Okay, executors, right? Do you have people that are designated to act on behalf of the estate, to manage the estate? And do you have at least 2 alternative executors? Because the reality is people can predecease you, people can become disabled, and they're not qualified. Does your trust, if you've got a trust in your will, which you should if you have minor children, absolutely. Does it provide for pour-over provisions that distribute the assets to the trust, right? Is your will something that's going to work to try to minimize the cost of litigating in probate court? Or is it leaving everything up to chance and the decision of a judge? Yeah. Probate, right? Let's talk about the probate part in your will. Do all of your assets in your estate exceed an amount that can be passed outside of the court process known as probate? And guess what? The reality is that here in Florida, things have to get probated. There's no administration of an estate without probate. If you've got assets, they need to go through court. A will send you to court. That's the probate court. The way that you avoid that is by having a trust-based plan. A will is just going to make sure that the judge has some sort of general idea of who you want involved and who you'd like things to go to, but it doesn't really handle other things. So probate is a guarantee if you just have a will. Okay, and then execution. Is it properly executed? Do you have the real number of witnesses that are required in the state of Florida to be a valid will? Is everyone notarized? Yeah, you're probably wondering, why does everybody need to be notarized? Should it just be me? Do I even need to be notarized? Well, if you don't want witnesses to come and request thousands of dollars later to go do their little oath in front of the clerk to say that, yes, they saw you sign the will, then yes, you most definitely make sure that it's executed properly and everybody gets notarized. And make sure that your witnesses are not people that could be considered beneficiaries under your estate. Please make sure that they're disinterested parties. So anyway, these are just a few of the clauses that you want to think about in your will. Another one that I want to bring up is residue, right? Do you have a will that just leaves everything to your residue and says, oh, all the expenses need to come out of the residue? You don't know the kind of risks that this is creating for your homestead property and for other kinds of assets that you have that would otherwise be far more protected with the right language and the right clauses. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about 401ks, annuities, life insurance policies, retirement plans of other kinds, right? These are the nuances that an estate planning specialist is going to know. So that's my little checklist for you on will provisions. Tune in because we'll have another checklist for you on other parts of your plan. But if your documents are missing this, you don't have a plan.